Okay, so here we are, 7.5c, and we are going to start learning how to solve systems of equations in 3 variables using Cramer's rule. All right, so I'll put an equation up here in a minute that will go through step-by-step solving, but I'm going to give you the Cramer's rule, what x equals, what y equals, and what z, our third variable, is going to equal. Okay, and what we did in the video 7.5b is I gave you a 3 by 3 3 by 3 matrix, and you found the determinant there and got negative 14 for the determinant. Okay, what you did by finding that is you found out how to come up with one of these. Okay, so that means in order to find x, you're going to have to do that once, twice. Okay, once you find the d here, it works throughout here. But you're going to have to find the determinant 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And I know that sounds painful, but it could be a whole heck of a lot worse. All right, so let's leave that there, and let's solve the system. 2x minus y minus z equals 2, and I'm doing example 4. Okay, there's the system, and I have 3 equations and 3 variables. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write my d, and my d means I'm finding the determinant 2, negative 1, negative 1, 3, negative 1, 1, 1, 1, negative 1. Okay, so all of that is from just the coefficients in front of these, all the letters here. We're not worried about these right now. Those will come in later. All right, so to find the determinant of this one, remember we take the column right here, and we take the first number, and remember what I did here? We cross those out and cross those out, leaving us with our 2 by 2 there. So that's what I'm going to do here. Okay, then I'm going to put a minus, and then I'm going to get the 3 right there. Determinant, and again I'm going to use my highlighter here, and first or second row, first column, so I'm interested in what's left. Negative 1, negative 1, 1, negative 1. Oops, might help if I used a pen instead of a highlighter. Plus sign. Now I'm going to use this number. And I'm going to cross that out, which means my determinant is going to be 1. My determinant then is going to be negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, 1, like that. All right, so not too bad here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give myself some space. And then I do negative 1 times negative 1 minus 1 times 1. Because remember, I do those and then subtract. Minus 3. Negative 1 times negative 1 minus 1 times negative 1 plus 1. And then I do this one and this one. So negative 1 times 1 minus negative 1 times negative 1. Whoops. Move this over a little bit. Ran out of... Okay. Do what's in here. Let me go with blue here. 2, 1 minus 1, minus 3, 1 plus 1, plus 1, negative 1 minus 1. Alright, keep going here. That gives me 1 minus 1 is 0, times 2 is 0. 1 plus 1 is 2, times negative 3 is negative 6. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, giving me a negative 8. So D equals negative 8. Okay, very important there. I don't need anything else there now, because now I found D is negative 8. Okay, and that's what this number is going to be for all three of these, negative 8. So now you do the exact same thing with the D of x, the D of y, and the D of z. Okay, so now that I have D equals negative 8, I can basically get rid of a lot of this. I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. But other than that, I'm not going to need, well, in fact, I'm going to rewrite this here. Okay, so instead of a D equaling this, I'm going to have a D of dx there. So let's go ahead and get rid of all of this stuff so that I can have room to show you what's going on. So D of x equals, and I'm just going to rewrite what I initially started with the D, because it's all the same numbers. So make sure I've got them right. 2, negative 1, 3. Oh, this is a positive 3. Negative 1, 1, 1, 1, negative 1. Okay, so that is what I started out with. Okay, let's get rid of that for right now. Okay, so D of x, if you remember right, from Kramer's rule, let's see, where is it? D of x, if you look on page 567, it says to take, first of all, when finding D of x, we're going to take our answers. 2, negative 3, 7. Okay, they go first. The next part is the y part, this part right here. So we're going to write that next. And the third one is going to be the z part, that right there. Okay? And then we're going to do the exact same thing before. 2, 3, 7, and then we're going to put the 2 by 2s afterwards, and then follow the same rules we did before. Okay. Now the dy is going to be another 3 by 3, but in this case it's going to be 2, 3, 1 from this here, and the next row is going to be my answer row. Okay, and then the third column is going to be my negative 1, 1, negative 1. And then I'm going to find my 2 by 2s and do the matrix there. And then finally my D of z is going to be my first row. And my next column is going to be my second row, or column. And my third is going to be my answers. Okay, so if you want to look at, for sure, everything you need in order to do these, you're going to look at 567, 568, what's in green, and it will tell you what you're doing here. Now the key thing is just making sure that you get these columns here in the right order. Okay, so d of x, in the first column goes your answer. D of y, second column gets your answer. D of z, third column. So it's kind of like, okay, x, that's the first, x, y, and z. X is the first column, y is the second, z is the third. Okay, and this answer that I have here is actually, if you look at your system of equations that we gave clear at the beginning, it was 2x minus y minus z equals 2. Okay, so there's my answer. 3x minus y plus z equals negative 3. Okay, and that's what it's equal to. X plus y minus z equals 7. Okay, so this, when I say your answers, it's really not your answers, it's just what it's equal to. So when I'm finding the x, this goes in the x column. When I'm finding the y, it goes in the y column. When I'm finding the z, it goes in the z column. Okay, so just kind of remind you of where this part goes, and it's replacing this 2, 3, and 1. Okay, so we're just writing the negative 1, negative 1, 1, negative 1, 1, negative 1. Okay, my y and z don't change. But since I'm looking for x here, I'm taking the answer and replacing it with this column x. For the y, I'm replacing my y numbers with this column. Okay, and I'm leaving my z's alone, and I'm leaving my x's alone. And the same with z. I'm just replacing the third column, the z column, with these three numbers, leaving my x alone and leaving my y alone. Okay, that's probably the hardest part, is remembering what to put in each column. So now you find your d of x, and in this case, when you do that, it's going to be negative 8. Or I'm sorry, it should be x equals d of x over d. And when you find your d of x, it would have been negative 8, and we found the d earlier is also negative 8, so our x is equal to 1. Okay, our y equals d of y over d. And when we did all that stuff, we found our y is negative 24, and our d again is negative 8, giving me a y value of 3. And my z, golly, people are freaking me out. They're texting me so much. Okay, so my d of z is 24, and my d I found was 8 a long time ago, giving me a z value of negative 3. So my answer is 1, 3, negative 3. My x, my y, and my z. And that's solving system of equations using Cramer's rule for 3 variables. So, in order for me to do these correctly, I'm going to go ahead and do a 4th video, and it'll just be for example 5.